Kyla.
And I'm Jerwin. Greetings and welcome to our new setup topic today. We will be talking about
The influence of feminism and the feminist linguistics.
So, generally, we'll be talking about feminists in this presentation, like Robin Laco, for example, and Dale Spender. We'll also be talking about the deficit and the dominance characteristics of language. And we will be highlighting the language of women. So, what are the things that we're going to be talking today?
So here are the objectives of our topic today: the feminist contribution, and the Ruben Lackoff's and her book Language and Woman's Place, Dale Spender and her book about the man-made language.
Basically, we'll be talking about feminists like these two people here, Robin and Dale, and their publications. Because these books are very influential in the field of feminism and feminists, and its influence in the study of linguistics.
Now let's get to know about the contribution of the feminism.
The contribution of the feminism was largely begun on their movement, their protest, the feminist protest. In the late 1960s, there are women movements in the US, and following that is this what we call the WLM, or the Women's Liberation Movement, prompted by the civil rights movement in the US. And because it is instigated by the civil rights movement themselves in the US, it was widely appreciated, it was widely recognized, not just in the US but also in the other countries and even in Asia, like for example in Beijing, China. So the women were started to be recognized already during this time. It was during 1960s and late 1970s. And it heralded to a new important study of language and gender. And it is also a time of feminist protest in many Western countries. However, feminism acquired negative associations like being anti-men. Many people, especially the androcentric side, they said that feminism are being anti-men. However, they never cease to develop. They never cease to progress, and they're still ongoing in their uphill battle, and they are not just appreciated and recognized and acknowledged in the US but as well as in other parts of the world or even worldwide. So, for example, initiatives like
International Women's Year, World Bank and British Council, Pacific Women Conference, and the Beijing Conference on Women.
so these are conferences and organizations that contributed so much on the influence of feminism in the study of language and gender, or in general in the study of linguistics. For example, we have in 1975 there is an International Women's Year that emphasizes the the importance or the value of women. We also have World Bank and British Council. It is actually an organization, it is an agency, that promoted gender equality. We also have in 1995 the Pacific Women's Conference, which is also very relevant because it passed a resolution on women. So it's very helpful in the development of linguistics, especially in terms of the women perspective on language and gender. And one of the very important conference is the Beijing Conference in Women. So it was held at Beijing, of course. And it highlights the action for equality, development, and peace. And truth be told, there are African countries who said that it is an important landmark and it shaped the way people now see gender issues. And moreover, the main target or the particular goal of women's movement involves the language. That is actually the reason why the feminism influenced the study of language.
Moreover, the feminists believe that English language was said to define, degrade, and stereotype women. For example, I'm gonna set myself as an example for this. Like, karon, dalaga pa man ko, so tawagon akong kaugalingon nga Miss Aranyo. But if I'm going to be married already, so I'm gonna be called Miss Aranyo. It depends on
Miss Aranyo, Taka. Miss Rosa siguro.
Yeah, maybe, but it's not gonna be
Di
for
pa
sure.
sure,
Di
di ba?
pa sure.
But
Okay.
yes, there is apparently a bias in terms of the label of that, right? Okay, why is it that when women get married, it changes from Miss to Mrs.
Indeed.
But not when me, for example, I am going to get married and written man lang ang Mr. So Mr. Amarillo lang magyam ko maski na pinyo nako. So there is a bias label on the
Indeed, there
title
is
in
really
terms
a
of women.
bias.
Now because of that, feminists believe that there exists a what we call sexism.
Correct.
So sexist language. So that was the feminists' early speculation or assumption. So they adopted because of the sexist language. They are very worried about the lauy nga nung inani maning language nga kuan man kaayo behind man kaayo or murag kulang man kaayo ang or marginalized man kaayo ang language sa women. So they tried to adapt and create something that would address the problem. So they created alternative linguistic items just to eradicate the presence of sexism. Then, the following then appeared in grammars and dictionary as alternative linguistic items.
So, they are the new syntactic possibilities, new lexicalizations, and representations.
So, with the aim of the feminists to eradicate the problem of sexism in the English language, the following alternative items thus came into use. Now, you can see here in the first column the alternative items. Miss as an alternative for Mrs. Mrs.
So, the reason is that it is to achieve equivalence with Mr. and to end the practice of women being defined by their marital status.
We also have alternative item like chairperson, spokesperson, barperson for chairman, spokesman, barman, which are apparently very androcentric. So the reason of that is to
It is to put an end the think male phenomenon and the rendering invisible of women.
we also have he or she, singular they, as an alternative for the generic he. So the reason for that is for being general as above. On the other hand, one of the very influential feminist account on the study of linguistics is the book of Robin Lakoff. She is a feminist, also entitled Language and Woman's Place. This is very influential in the field of linguistics
Because it considers questions of non sexist language. It also best known for its exploration on gender differences in language use, and it is widely acknowledged as an important pioneer work that carried and still carries wide-ranging influence.
another most impactful feminist account that contributed so much in the study of linguistics is by Dale Spender. She is also a feminist, which is entitled Man Made Language. So it appeared in the UK.
More hard-hitting book, aiming less at an academic and more at a popular audience.
And it also can be seen as a radical feminist position.
About sexism in the English language and gender differences in language use.
And it also focuses on how men dominate in the conversation, interrupt their conversational partners, and are more successful at having the topics they bring up taken up.
So the male dominance approach characteristics of studies of language use and gender.
So these are the key features of Spender's book, The Man-Made Language, and they said that it is very influential in the study of language and gender. So one of the most hot statement of Dale Spender is this following, as you can read it in the screen. She said that it is men who are responsible for the use of sexism in the language. It is always the men who are held accountable why there is sexism or there is bias in language. So that was her contention. And she was indeed true and reliable because she provided linguistic evidence for that. Spender's argument was highly appreciated and acknowledged because she provided really reliable linguistic evidence for that. For example, she said that according to Wilson 1553,
The male term should precede the female.
and according to Poole of 1646,
One reason for this was that the male was worthier gender.
and by Kirkby 1746,
The male gender was more comprehensive than the female.
so you can see there the sexism that male are considered to be greater than female.
So that's the end of our topic about the influence of feminism and feminist linguistics by Robin Lakoff and Dale Spender.
Do not miss the next part of it on Daniel Maltz and Ruth Borker. Next topic